Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another YouTube tutorial. My name is Samantha Anderson. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am excited to paint. I always love getting to paint for you guys and with you guys. So if you are here during this class, please leave a comment down below. Let me know you're here. Let me know how long you've been painting, or maybe if this is your first time, who you're painting with, where you're from, all of that jazz. So we're gonna just jump right in. I will be in the comments going ahead and replying to you, so just be patient for all of those replies, but I'm excited that you're all here. We're going to start off by just letting you know that I do have a traceable available for this class. I have it available for all my classes, so if you are interested in that, you can go over to my Patreon, and it's going to be in there. I also have a link posted in the description of this video in the Facebook event where you might have come from, as well as just like in the comment section. I will pin a post. So I'm gonna go ahead and pin that. If you are interested in that, it's $5 for the month. You'll get access to this one as well as my next one for this month, as well as every other single traceable that I've done here on YouTube for the free classes. So make sure to go on over there. You can support the channel that way, and it's also a great way to get access to all the traceables. If you do not want a traceable, that is totally fine. You can go over there and support if you want to, but you can also not use the traceable. The traceable is there. I started off as just a thank you to my patrons for supporting me, just as something extra to give to them, and then it slowly became something that people really enjoyed having for the live classes. So I created a tier specifically for that, for you guys to have access to all of the traceables. That is that. So you are welcome to go grab it. If not, that is totally fine. You can go ahead and draw this on. It's a fairly simple design, but it does have a lot of straight edges and perspective, and I know sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. So if you have difficulty with that, feel free to use a traceable. I do not believe that it is cheating. It's just another tool that we use as artists, just like a ruler or a tape for a straight edge, which we might be using today, but it's just a tool that we can use. So let's go over some supplies. Again, that's in my Patreon. It's not available anywhere else but my Patreon. So let's go over supplies. I have an 11 by 14 stretched canvas, and the traceable does come in two sizes. It comes in a 9 by 12 as well as an 11 by 14. If you are a patron or you want to become a patron for the traceable and you have a different size canvas that you are working with, please go ahead and comment. You can become a patron, and then on that post you can comment what size canvas you have, and it's really easy for me to go back into my files, resize it for that size, whether it's bigger than bigger than a piece of paper or if it's smaller. It's really easy to resize for me. I'll upload those files directly to the Patreon post, and then you'll have access to it as well as everybody else within Patreon. So it's a helpful tool to be able to use that, and I'm here at your service to create that for you. So that's the traceable. That is the canvas size that we're using. And then I have 2 things of water. I like to have 2 cups of water in case one gets really, really dirty. I don't anticipate that happening this time around, just because a lot of the colors are in the same realm of warm oranges and yellows. But a lot of times when we have really dark colors, it's helpful to have 2 different water so we can always have access to clean water. And then I also have a paper towel, my palette. I have a little palette scraper that I like to use to clean off my palette during classes if needed. And then I also have a palette knife. Now, we're not painting with a palette knife, but I do have always have a palette knife ready and available so that I can mix my colors ahead of time. Being able to pre-mix my colors, especially for beginners, it is really helpful to have all those colors pre-mixed so that you can see them all together, know that they work together, as well as when you're doing backgrounds, especially something like this where it's a little bit blurry, it's out of focus, having all those colors readily available so that you can blend them wet on wet is really helpful. If you struggle with backgrounds and not being able to get a clean blended background, pre-mixing your colors is really great practice to have. Let's go ahead and go over some brushes real quick. I have all of my typical brushes that I use. I have a 3/4 inch filbert, a small filbert. I have a texture brush. This is just a round, medium-sized brush that I use for clouds, for texture, for dry brushing. Anything that I'm just going to ruin the bristles with, I use this brush. And it's actually, it's very frayed, if you can tell. It's very frayed, but honestly, that is what I use it for. So it's perfect. I get to keep all my other brushes looking nice. And that's the one that I get to be a little rough with. So having one of those brushes is really nice because it keeps all your other brushes clean and nice. And then I have a couple other round brushes. I have one that's a little bit more pointed, one that's a little bit more round. And then I have a liner brush. These are like the typical brushes that I use in almost all of my classes. And yeah, I don't anticipate using anything else other than potentially a toothbrush. Which if you don't have an old toothbrush lying around, they're super helpful. This is one of my kids' toothbrush that is just super old and I've had it for years. I use it for flicking stars. The toothbrush bristles are really nice because they're really short and thick and firm, and that makes splattering stars really nice, but we will be using it for the sand today. If you do not have one of these brushes, you can also use a hog bristle brush, just a stiff bristled brush, or if you have like a really old brush that tends to fray. These don't work as well because it's a little bit, they are a little bit more soft, but I did use this one for years, and it worked okay. But I do recommend getting a toothbrush or some other really stiff bristled brush. So those are the supplies. And then lastly, let's go over some paint colors. All of today's paint colors are going to be your warm colors, and then potentially maybe a purple, but we'll see. I think we can get by without using a purple. So I have my white and black, and this bottle is Hippie Crafter Acrylics. I love using their stuff. They're super neat company, and they're really nice. They've given me a lot of free paints, and they've even given me paints to give away. So if you're not on my Facebook, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, I often do giveaways of paint from Hippie Crafter. I love their paints. They're really great, and they're super nice company. So I use them for a lot of my stuff. So when you see me have bottles, they are not craft acrylics that you might see at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. They're not soft body acrylics. They are full body professional acrylic paints from Hippie Crafter. I actually really enjoy the bottles though, because when I squirt out too much paint, I can just pick it up with my palette knife and put it back in. You can't really do that with the tubes. So I actually really I often will just refill these sometimes if I run out of a specific color that I use often, and I'll just refill them. I'll just refill them with like whatever I have on hand. Okay, let's go ahead and go over the supplies. So I do have my white and my black, or not supplies, the paint. So I have my black and my white. I have a orange and a yellow. Okay. And then I also have red, raw umber, and burnt sienna. So those are the colors I have. I might not use all of them, but I have them on hand just in case. Okay, let's go ahead and just dive right in. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. Let's go ahead and grab our white and our yellow. And I'm already getting paint on myself. I opened it up and it like squirted on me. So we're gonna go ahead and do a wash of a light yellow, and we might add just the tiniest bit of brown or like maybe some burnt sienna to it, maybe some orange, we'll see. So go ahead and get out your palette knife. And I'm gonna grab some white, grab a little bit of yellow, and just a touch of burnt sienna. And I'm gonna grab a little bit more burnt sienna. The burnt sienna will warm it up a little bit and also make it a tad bit darker. But remember that this is going to be a wash, so it's okay if it's a little bit darker than what you might prefer, because it's also going over white. So that white underneath is going to lighten it up a little bit. All right, so I think this is a good color so far. So that's just the white, yellow, and burnt sienna. I'm gonna grab my biggest brush. And we're gonna go ahead and just go over this whole thing with this yellow. What is? Trying to figure out what's moving so I can like have it not move for you guys. Here, I'll just hold it. And what's nice about doing a wash like this is you can kind of find out if this is the color choice that you want to continue with. It's almost like a you're pre-painting the canvas, which is, for me, it's always super helpful because I kind of get to envision a little bit before I go full on with putting on a ton of paint. And I end up saving a lot of paint in the long run because you get to make a mistake before you waste a bunch of paint. I don't always make a mistake in the beginning stages with the coloring, but I feel like more often than not you'll make a mistake, but because you've already invested so much time in the application of everything and you've already put so much paint, it ends up becoming a lot harder to like backtrack and fix things. And don't worry if your pencil bleeds a little bit. This is just the undercoat and we will be going over it. Once it's covered in paint, it won't bleed again. So I'm just going ahead and adding paint to the bottom there. And there you go. It looks really light because it's changing. If I put my hand up, it'll adjust to my hand, and now it's a little bit more yellow. You see that? So now I know that this is a little bit too light, but I'm going to go ahead and take some white, and I'm going to just put some white where I want my my sun, just so I can kind of visualize where that's going. I'm gonna grab a little bit of black, and with this yellow and brown, yellow and burnt sienna, sorry. I'm going to mix together those two colors with a little bit of black and then a little bit of white. So right now we're just kind of landscaping, I would say. So this is all the colors on the palette right now. So this is your white, yellow, burnt sienna, and black. And we're just gonna go ahead and, while this is still wet, I'm gonna go ahead and put in some of this, just kind of landscaping and figuring out where everything is. It doesn't have to be perfectly blended or anything like that. We are still in the beginning stages of this painting. We're just kind of trying to figure out where everything is right now. We have some darks up here. And these two dark sides kind of blend into each other. And there's a dark on this side too. Alright, so we're just kind of, again, we're just kind of landscaping. I'm going to put a little bit more burnt sienna in here so it's a little bit warmer. Just ever so slightly. And we're going to kind of create the background of this. We're just going to add a little bit of this here. We are still in the undercoat stage. Okay. I'm using really thin, really thin coats of paint. I'm just like kind of just landscaping a little bit, figuring out where everything is. Maybe there's a little bit of a shadow here. And kind of just brush this down to indicate that that's where it is. I don't really have anything else. I don't really have any paint on my brush per se, but it's kind of just moving around the paint that's already on here. If you wanted to put paint in here, you could put a little bit of burnt sienna, but I don't think that that's as important as just kind of marking where things are. All right. I think that is a great start. There's a little bit of brown here in the sky. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that. Just the general area, it doesn't have to blend or anything like that. Again, we're just landscaping the painting. And then remember, if you ever need to take paint off, it's actually really easy to do that. You just get a little bit of wet, because this paint is so thin, it just comes off really, really easy. And if you have troubles with straight lines, you are totally allowed to use some paint, some tape. If that would make you more comfortable. Just gonna make this area a little bit lighter. All right, let's go ahead and move from back to front now. We're going to create all of our colors. I'm going to go ahead and clean off my my palette, because I have a lot of thin colors right now. So if I put water on that, they're just going to come up and then get in my paint, and I really don't want that. So I'm just going to scrape all of that dry, thin, old paint, And now I have a clean surface to work with. All of the materials that I use, by the way, I have in my Amazon shop, which is just another way for me to share what I use. I have things linked in there. It's linked down below if you're interested in looking. I have my favorites, art supplies for the kids, just all sorts of things. So feel free to go and check that out after class. Okay, let's go ahead and figure out what our colors are going to be. I'm going to go ahead and grab some more paint. So I need more yellow. And I would really like this yellow to just be a little bit more intense. But keep in mind that this time around you're going yellow on yellow and not yellow on white. Going yellow on white, it's going to naturally be brighter behind it. So I'll probably make roughly the same color because going yellow on yellow will naturally make it darker. I'm going to grab a little bit more burnt sienna. So I'm just adding all the same colors on my palette so that we can just add all those same colors. Okay. And then I'm also going to grab a tiny bit of red over here so that we can add that in to some of the other colors. Actually, I also want some orange. Let's do some orange too. Okay. Now that we got all of our colors, it slightly bugs me that these are not in like a rainbow order. I didn't think about that, but that's okay. Okay, let's go ahead and make our yellow first. Most of this is white and we are going to use quite a bit. We're going to add that yellow. If you're new to mixing, make sure that you add one at a time so you can see how each color affects the next. So you have your yellow. That's what yellow and white, I should say that's what the amount of white that you used and the amount of yellow that you used, that's the color it makes. Because sometimes when you add yellow and white, it might make a completely different shade of yellow because of how much you use. So we have that, and then I actually really like that for the middle of it, so I'm just going to keep some of this. And then, let's see, I'm just going to real quick, I'm just going to put some of this here just so I can see. You literally can't see any difference on the, why is it so pink? Guys, I'm going to have to adjust my camera because it looks so pink. My hand is not that pink. So give me a second while I adjust this camera for you guys because this is weird. I'm going to go like this. And then that's closer. Okay, so now you can see a difference between that. Things are weird. Maybe I have a filter on. Do I have a filter on my camera? No, I don't have a filter. Nope, there's no filter on it. I don't know. That's weird. Anyways, so I'm going to actually make it even more bright. I'm going to add more yellow to it. And just the slightest bit of burnt sienna. So I think I want it even darker, just more bright. And I think I'm gonna get more paint. I'm gonna get more white and more yellow, because most of this painting is this color. whenever I'm painting, I tend to lack contrast, so I tend to not make things as dark as they might seem. So now we can add this to our thing and see how we do. I'm gonna just add it to this section. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so now I'm going to create a little bit of a lighter hue for like the middle of the canvas, because everything in the middle is going to be a lighter hue of yellow. And if you need to do what I just did and put it on the canvas first, just to check the color, because sometimes things look different on your palette than they do in real life. Or just like on your canvas, because while they're next to all the other colors, sometimes it just looks different. So having that different color is helpful. All right, now I'm going to take a little bit of this dark yellow and I'm going to add a little bit of the burnt sienna to it. And I'm also going to add tiniest bit of black, just ever so slightly. And I'm going to add a little bit of red to it. Maybe I'll add a little bit of orange over here. Maybe I'll add a little bit of white. I'm just kind of playing with the colors. I'm trying to get that really pretty, like, orangey pink color that's in here. And keep in mind that it's going to mix into the yellow as we're painting. But I think that's a good color. And then we're going to create this color over here. It's kind of blackish. So black, brown, yellow, maybe a little bit of white, and we're just going to see where we go. I'm going to do a little bit more black because it needs to be more gray. So we can do a little bit of black, a little bit of white, and that will gray it out. I think I need even more black. I'm going to do more yellow and white. So essentially to get it closer to the background color. That's pretty good. I'm going to do even more white and black just to lighten it up, gray it out even more. And then I pulled off just a little bit from that group to darken it up even more. So I added a little bit of black and a little bit of burnt sienna. So you're just trying to make a couple different colors. Just play around with your colors. You can always pause the video, even when it's premiering live. You can still pause the video if you need to, even when we're live. Okay, so I have a couple different colors. I have my bright yellow, my light yellow, a little bit of a gray or browner tint, and then kind of an orangey color. And then I have two different colors of browns. Let's go ahead and I'm going to give you a few more minutes to make your colors, and while you're doing that, I'm I'm going to go ahead and show you what's been going on over on Patreon, as well as the last couple weeks here on YouTube. So over on YouTube, which is, you're here, congratulations. Last week we did a really fun painting, and if you like abstract or animals, this was a really fun painting. It is really bright because of my camera, I apologize. But this one was so fun, it was so freeing. We just got to hammer it out with a palette knife and just kind of go for it. It was a lot of fun, it was really freeing, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So if you're watching this one on the date that it goes out, this should be the last one that I have on my YouTube channel, so feel free to go over there and check it out. Over on Patreon, I forget if I shared this one with you guys, but last month we finished our little girl with her horse, and it came out so lovely. I loved doing the horse so much that we are doing in honor of my daughter, we are doing a unicorn this month for our cobalt. I'll show you that one in a second. But this is the finished product of what we did last month for our cobalts in our $20 tier over in my Patreon. So if you want to learn how to do portraits, we go through this one step by step. I think it took about 5 or 6 hours, which is honestly not too long for a portrait style painting. So yeah, so we did that one. And then for the $10 tier, this is actually coming out. It came out last Friday, so it is now available in my Patreon. We did this beautiful blue butterfly with a little bit of hand bokeh effect. I love how it came out. It's super pretty. And yeah, if you like butterflies or doing bokeh, we didn't use the sponges for this one. We just used our brush, and it came out super soft, and I really like it. So if you want to join me for that, it is in the magenta tier, so it's a $10 level. You get a exclusive tutorial every month over in my Patreon, and so that's what we are doing this month. And it's already available in my Patreon, so you can go paint it now. And then lastly, I told you that we were doing a horse. Don't laugh, this is we've only done 2 sessions on this, and I've only really done a undercoat on the horse, so it kind of looks funny. So this is the painting so far. Yeah, we're almost done with the background. I really love how it's coming out. It just looks so full. It's a unicorn in a magical forest. So that is kind of the theme of what we're doing. So there's a lot of elements in it, a lot of kind of blurry backgrounds. Some is a little bit more in focus. But I'm actually really excited because after our last class, I had the brilliant idea of adding gold paint to the horn, which I have. It's from Stuart Semple's collections, as well as potentially adding either some unicorn iridescent glitter paint, also from Stuart Semple, or adding some glitter, like some iridescent glitter in some of the sparkly effects. So if you go onto my Facebook, you'll be able to see what the reference photo is, and you can probably guess where I might put the really pretty iridescent either paint or glitter, and I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to put on that. I'll probably do it during the like final stage of coating it in a clear coat, and that's when I'll put on the glitter in one of those stages, and then I'll continue going over it to seal it. But I'm really excited for it because I love using like extra things on my paintings. But anyways, I'm really excited for that one, and so is my daughter. So she's 5, she just turned 5, and I love doing things for her. Anyways, okay, so hopefully you guys have had enough time to create all your colors. Let's go ahead and just add these on. So we're gonna focus on just the background first, which is essentially everything in this section, because once it gets to about here, it starts becoming in focus, and we're going to do some fun things there. So let's just go ahead and start with this yellow. I'm gonna put this yellow, the darker yellow, on the outer edges of this. So I'm doing all the tops and sides kind of first so that I can focus on the rest of it. And then I'm going to come into the middle part here and put the slightly white lighter section. And we're just going to blend that out. You can always go back into your darker yellow. Just blend it as much as you can. I'm going to go ahead and go around where the sun is, just so I can kind of keep an eye on where it is. And I would say as long as you go kind of side to side, you can have streaks of paint, like the different colors, in your sky, because then they just become specks of like clouds and things like that. All right, I'm gonna go into my dark brownish, my light brown, and I'm just going to blur this and blend it. I can tell that I need to go a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna kind of move my brush and blend that in. And I am blending it. I am blending it while it's wet. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of this dark yellow and blend it with some of this orange. And it's still a little bit wet for me, so it'll blend pretty nicely. Just a little bit of this orange, and if it stops blending, if it's not blending very well, you can grab a little bit of water and a little bit of that yellow to kind of help it blend a little bit better. And then I'm going to go in with just a little sliver of this dark color. I'm going to wipe off my brush, and then I'm just going to blend that in. And just do your best to blend it in a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and take my texture brush and a little bit of white and go ahead and put in my sun by just going in circles and blending that in. And then I can always come behind myself with my yellow. I'm going to go up and over with the yellow. And again, just blending that outer edge. Okay, I'm going to go back in with this orange color. And I'm just grabbing a little bit of water just so I can blend it in a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to take a little bit of water in this orange and I'm going to put it on the edge. And I'm going to blend it up. And over here is going to be the dark brown instead. But we're still going to blend it. So I'm going to get my brush wet. And go ahead and brighten up this center. And the rest of this, I'm just gonna kind of use my either my my round texture brush or my big brush for blending. So let's go ahead and just get the rest of these colors in, and then we can come back and kind of manipulate them a little bit. So it's almost like a second undercoat a little bit. I'm going to go in with a little bit of my yellow. And this sea has a little bit more orange in it than the sky does. Except for the very center. So I'm going to brighten up my orange just ever so slightly. So that I can kind of blend this section in. I'm going to go into a little bit more of that yellow. Alright, I'm going to grab just a little bit of this lighter yellow, put it in the middle right here. Alright, so I'm just going to darken up this area over here. And then I've been kind of adding this light yellow to my brown, and that's helped kind of ease the color a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just blur out this line a little bit. All right, looking good. Let's go ahead and I'm going to rinse out my brush, and then we're going to add another coat of this yellow on here. This whole area has this yellow undertone. With some oranges on it. And then this is kind of just blurred out. So I'm just adding, whenever I'm blurring something into it, I just grab that color. And then I don't rinse out my brush. I just grab that color and blend it in as well. And this is all wet, so it's blending in really, really nicely. I'm gonna grab some of this orange and just have a little bit of orange here. A little bit of brown in this area. I'm going to put a little bit of thicker paint on there so it's not as translucent. Just gonna grab a little bit of this extra paint right here, and while it's still wet, you can put in these little bits of like dune almost. Like dunes, little sand dunes. And don't forget to paint the sides of your canvas. Right. I'll do a little bit more orange here because I want to keep those kind of bright colors in here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit more of this brown color. just kind of blend it in. Alright, and at this point, my paints are starting to dry on the canvas, so you can see I'm actually lifting off the paint. So I'm going to go ahead and move down here. This paint down here is going to be a little bit on the warmer side, so we're going to add some burnt sienna. We're going to need a little bit more white, as well as maybe a little bit more yellow. Maybe a little bit more on the tannish, orangey side. And I need to move some of this paint because it's very thin and it's starting to get in my paint, and I don't want that. Okay, I like this color. So let's go ahead and do a first coat of this. Maybe a little bit more white. I'm going to do a little bit of a light section over here. Just kind of trying to match the mood of the colors. And I want to go ahead and go into some darker colors. Go ahead and add a little bit of, just a little bit of orange. Just gonna add a little bit while this is still wet. I'm just gonna add some variants in the coloring. I'm gonna go ahead and lighten up this section here. Alright, so what I'm noticing right now is a lot of my colors are a bit too dark, so I think I overcompensated. Does not always happen. You overcompensate. So I usually tend to not have things dark enough, and now they're a little bit too dark. So I'm gonna brighten up my sea, because I know that this is dry and I can work with this. All right. All right. I'm just adding a few more clouds, which you're allowed to do. Adding a little bit of light in there, and I think the background is pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and add some lighter yellows to this area. I'm just going to reapply some of these colors. So that they can all blend in. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a bigger brush that I can kind of use as a stipple. And I'm gonna go ahead and stipple on just some texture. Just so what we're working with is not a flat surface and it's got some texture on it. If you don't have a brush like this, you can get a fan brush. Okay. I'm gonna grab this white and we're going to clean off our thing because we are gonna go ahead and make some new colors. Dropped it. Okay. Alright, so I had this on my, the white on my palette, so I'm just going to put that back on here, or on my palette knife. Okay, so I have my white, and then let's go ahead and make oops, sorry, I bumped it. Let's go ahead and make a slightly tan, like a slight tan color. So I'm gonna get out some more yellow and kind of just a little bit more of all the other colors. So here's some more yellow. And I'm gonna get out some more burnt sienna. It's kind of like a warmer color. And I kind of want to warm up, now that I'm looking at it, I kind of want to warm up some of this, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Give me 1 second. I need to check something. Let's see. All right, was just looking how we're doing on time. We have a little less than an hour to finish, which we should get there. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead, actually the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a liner brush because I'm losing a little bit of our outline and we don't want to do that. So I'm gonna grab some of this black and I'm gonna go ahead and find my traceable in here. And we're just going to roughly put this in. If you have like an acrylic marker, you could also do that, but I know not everyone has that, so it's not as pronounced. So this actually goes all the way up here, so I didn't go down far enough with my other one. It also doesn't have to be like super dark black. It could also just be like a watered down. Just something to kind of reinforce the traceable and make sure that, you know, it's still there. And what's nice about doing just a thin coat like this is that if it is, if you do kind of go in a direction that you don't want it to, you can just come behind yourself and clean up the line. How about that? Gonna keep putting this in, and I think this is actually, this is in the wrong spot now that I look at it. Actually goes this direction, like that. All right. So this color comes a little bit more like this. So I'm just kind of redoing this area just real quick, just so I can make sure to get in the right area of this. And then you'll notice that the shadow goes past where this is, so this actually comes out here even more. And you don't have to do this right now. You could just wait until a little bit later. But sometimes I like to just get a little glimpse into like what is coming, like where I plan to go with it. So even if the color is wrong, it's still helpful for me to know kind of like where everything is. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit more outlining with this. And I realize this needs to go a little bit further up. Okay. Like that, and then there's one right here. Again, I'm just kind of putting in the traceable back in. Or if you didn't use a traceable and you're putting this in for the first time, that is totally fine too. And wherever the sun is, your shadow is going to be going the kind of the opposite direction. So this one over here is going to be coming this direction to the right. Actually, it's going to be going even further that direction. Right. So while that dries, let's go ahead and create our other color. So I realized I forgot to do the little in-ear pieces. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white before I get started. Maybe a touch of burnt sienna, and I'm going to put a little light spot right here. Just kind of brushing it out with my finger. And if you want to go in little circles to kind of create a little bit of a bokeh effect, you can do that. And you can add this in multiple spots if you feel like you need to. Okay, I'm going to add a couple more highlight areas just to add a little bit of lightness. All right. Okay, I think that is enough for that. Let's go ahead and make our other colors. So I'm going to grab some white, some yellow, and a tiny bit of burnt sienna. And this is going to make a tan, like a warm tan color. And we're going to add just a little bit of black to tone it down just a little bit. Grab a tiny bit more black here. And we're just kind of playing with those colors until we come up with the color that we want. I think this is a bit too yellow, so I'm going to add a little bit of warmth with my burnt sienna. Okay, let's go ahead and see how this goes on. I'm going to use my my dry brush technique so that I can kind of just brush it on in the areas that I want it. I'm going to warm up some of these colors. I'm going to also make a slightly more yellow tan. Just so when I need to add a little bit more color, I can do that. So that's the white, yellow, and a little bit of burnt sienna. That's just so it can be a little bit more rich in color. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a coat of this tan on this dark spot. I'm going to mix in just a little bit of a darker color, and I'm just going to blend it in. The nice part about working with a dry brush is being able to just move your brush in any which way and being able to just add the color where you need it. And I'm going to add a little bit of this bright color and just mix that together. All right, now I'm going to add a slightly darker tannish color. So I just added a little bit of the brown and black. Only a little bit of that warm yellow color in here. And we're gonna go ahead and get another color for this bottom. I didn't quite like how the other one turned out. It just seemed a little bit too gray in comparison to the rest of it. And I'm going over in I'm going in the glasses just like I would, because we're gonna end up just putting a red like film over it. So again, I'm just looking at the reference photo and just trying to pick whatever color matches the best. And just kind of blending it as best I can. But even then, like, this is still kind of out of focus a little bit, so it's okay. It's not the focus of the painting, so it's okay if it's not completely in focus. And all this sand is like different colors anyways, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fix where this exists over here. And then don't forget to do the bottom. Okay, so that looks pretty good, with the exception of there's a little bit of a darker section right here, so I'm just going to kind of make that carry over a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to take this light color and go ahead and just splash it in some of this. We're going to take some yellow and some white. And you can always take your texture brush and blend it in if needed. And I'm using a dry brush for this. Oh my gosh, I just got, how did that happen? I got white paint all over my, oh my goodness. That's been the most paint I think I've ever gotten on my handle before. My goodness. I must have just stuck it right in there. Oh my goodness. What was I saying? So we're gonna let the canvas shine through a little bit, and I'm going to add these paints with a dry brush. Now what that means is I have barely any water on my brush, barely any, okay? And I'm going to lay it flat, and I'm going to brush it sideways. And you can see it's starting to pick up. I don't know if you can see it. It's starting to pick up the texture of the canvas. Okay, so that's the first step for our. That's the first step for our sand. And we're just going to do that across the whole thing. We're going to do that with the dark first. And then we're going to come in with some yellowy white. So the trick is to have barely any paint on your brush. So you can see I'm kind of wiping it off a little bit. Okay. I'm going to make the contrast a little bit more right at the bottom here in between these two sections. So I'm just going to add this here. And this is so that when I add a little bit more of this darker color here, there'll be a little bit more of a difference. All right, we are now able to start using our toothbrush or whatever other speckled brush you're using. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a slightly dark brown, and you're just going to use a little bit of water and you want to kind of cover up the places that you don't want to get speckles. Alright, so we're doing that. Now I'm going to go rinse out my brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit of white and yellow. Maybe a little bit more white. I'm going to grab a tiny bit of orange, I think. Alright, so once you create a color that you like, grab a little bit of water, and you can always test out your speckles before you do them. You can tell that it's starting to pull together. So this is the slightly yellow color. Oops. Oh, I did it again. So we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit more of a white color. Remember that you can always come back in with some dark if you need to. So we're gonna go ahead and let this dry. We're gonna get out our red and mix it a bit with our orange. And hey, I'm even gonna grab a little bit of this yellow. And we're gonna go ahead and do a wash. So I'm gonna rinse out my brush, make sure it's very, very clean. The cleanest I can get right now. And I'm going to get just a little bit of this, and we're gonna go ahead and just put in a wash of this color. I'm gonna get out a little bit of black, and I'm gonna get a little bit of my yellow and just add it right here. And I'm gonna kind of try to mimic the background just a little bit with adding either yellow or black. When I add the black, I'm gonna kind of add it stippling. Just to add texture to the glasses. All right. So now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to get this red, and we're going to put in a wash. Alright, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of orange. And kind of put the orange in the spots that are the most brightest, other than like where the yellow is. There's more red on the left side than there is on the right side. So just keep that in mind. And the bottom is kind of textured a bit. So I'm kind of just gonna poke around. I'm gonna grab some more yellow. And I'm gonna grab this with my texture brush. A little bit of yellow, tiny bit of white, and I'm gonna put it in this area. Just kind of blend it in a little bit. And I'm gonna just kind of keep adding some yellow to brighten some spots up. There's some texture on the bottom of the glasses here. All right. Now I'm going to go in with some black down below. And just kind of put it in there, blend it in a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab a little bit of this red. So while the black dries, I'm gonna grab some just pure red. And I'm gonna put that in some spots. So this has a tiny bit of black in it. And then the other red spots are going to be like up above. I'm going to put a little bit more red on the right side, but most of the red is coming from on the right side, or sorry, on the left side. Right, I'm going to go ahead. I went a little bit too far over, so I have to come and get this off. All right, I'm gonna grab some yellow and white and hit this area one more time. A little bit of light. And then I'm just gonna bring this color down a little bit, add some texture, and in a very, very light wash, I'm gonna go ahead and do a wash down here. I have barely any paint on my brush. It is mostly water. And it kind of fades to a brownish on the edges. All right, we have a couple more things. I'm gonna grab some yellow yellow and white, just the tiniest bit of white. And we are going to add a touch of speckles with our with some sort of stipple brush. So this is where you get to be a little bit more intentional about where you put it. And it gets a little bit blurry down here at the bottom, so I'm just going to kind of swipe it a little bit. And then I'm going to go into just the straight orange with a little bit of white. And we're going to put some of this in here. Right, while all that dries, I'm going to grab my black and a liner brush, and I'm going to officially make the outer edge of the whatchamacallit, the glasses. Notice that in some spot it is thicker than other spots. And then as you make your way through the glass, we're gonna go through it once, and then you can kind of just poke your way through. There's a straight line across. Line work, especially when you're doing it in black, will always take some time. So don't rush it. Okay. If it's not coming off your brush smooth, then it probably means you need a little bit more water. And whenever I'm going, let's say I'm going to go here, I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start back here, barely touch it, push down harder, and the harder you push down, the thicker it is going to be. But if you're using a liner brush, thankfully you can kind of only get so big before it's just the size of the brush. And remember that you can always come back in and fix any quote-unquote mistakes. Oop, that was a lot of orange, but that's okay. Just gonna add some texture in orange. Essentially, it's just going to match the background. So wherever your background is, it might be different. Your background might be a little bit different than the picture, than my background. If you add just a little bit of white to your orange, it makes it a lot brighter. Which I think I'm going to add just a little bit. I know we're going a little bit long, but these details are what kind of complete the painting. I'm just adding some texture to the, and then I'm going to add a little line on the bottom to kind of give a little reflection on the bottom there. This one is in orange, but the one over here I'm gonna do in white. So I'm gonna grab my liner brush, grab a little bit of white, and we're gonna go just like so. And I'm also going to add white on the rest of this as well. So just on the top of pretty much all of the sections. And this is kind of the last little detail. And then don't forget to put in your very subtle shadow over here. And these are just the last little details to finish the painting. I'm gonna keep going along with the white and the black. So I have black in one hand and white in the other. And then I'm going to go ahead and put white on top of it. And then white on top of this. Alright, and we're going to put a orange one on the inside of this line. Okay. And to do the inside one, I'm just gonna get a little bit of red. And kind of go back and forth between the red and the black. So that it is the appearance that it is kind of you know, blotting out from the, it's like blurry. Alright, I could go forever adding detail, but I shouldn't. So I'm gonna go ahead and add one more thing, and it's a slight darkening of the outer rim of the glasses in the shadow area. As well as a little bit of a shadow here. So I just have barely any paint on my brush. You can even grab a little bit more water. Don't forget to do the underside. I'm going to do the same thing, except this side is a bit less. right, and we are all done. Sorry, I said I'm all done and then I keep painting. Like I said, I could keep painting. I could just paint all the things. I think I'm just going to do this and then let the rest settle. I don't know if you can tell, but I have a lot of fun painting. So I am just going to let it be. And call it good. You can add any rocks that you want. Or any other sparkles if you feel like it. Just add a couple more sparkles here and there. But yeah, that's it. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this class. I sure did enjoy painting it. If you did do this class with me, make sure that you go onto my artist community over on Facebook and you upload your painting to the album section of the Facebook group, and that way everybody else can also see how lovely your painting is as well. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next time. All right, same time, same place. We'll see you guys then. Bye guys.